If you are a content creator or you produce, manufacture, and conjure up any kind of material or resource for the general public, and you rely upon your name being out there, your voice being used, your face being seen, I think you want to watch this video. Please see it all the way through, okay? I've read something today that touched on something that I've believed in for a long time, but this individual put it into words I would not have thought of. And it made me realize I probably ought to practice this to a greater extent than what I do already. Okay, so, you know, I see YouTubers out there, just like you do, who, well, they're called influencers, right? We all need to influence others enough to be able to buy into what we're saying. And hopefully, you know, this really only applies to people, I guess, who really put their heart and their soul behind what they're doing. Not charlatans, not grifters, but people who actually believe in what they're doing. Their heart is in it. They're well-intentioned people. But you got these people out there. Let's just use YouTube as an example. Like I said, they're called influencers. They're talking about something, and they believe that you could be benefited from it. Okay? And so they direct your attention to this thing, this cause, or this item. And they say, you know, I think your life could be improved if you used A, B, or C, and what it would be, the way it would profit you is X, Y, and Z. Now, there's a lot of people that balk at this. I see it a lot. They get accused of only, you know, being greedy, only pursuing their own selfish interest, being of base morals, low integrity. And I always scratch my head at this because I'm thinking to myself, why are you saying, you know, if you read the comments, you find plenty of people like this. I see it all the time. I see it within the bearded community. I see it in technology community. I see it in cosmetic community. I see it in all sorts of different ways, in all sorts of different communities on YouTube. And I watch a lot of different ones. And in the comments, you'll see where people say, you're only doing it for the money. You know, I don't like it when people try to add something to their videos to get people to spend more money. Well, the problem is, first of all, when I hear these things, I always think these people are terrible business people. Not the people, not the creators, but the commenters. Okay? I always wonder, are they just jealous? What would they do if they really believed in something and thought others could benefit from it? Would they avoid presenting whatever it is so that they wouldn't appear like the people that they're accusing? In a lot of cases, yes. That's exactly what they would do. They would sideline themselves to appear more virtuous. But I don't really think it's about virtue. I do believe with a lot of people, it's not about personal integrity so much as it is about avoidance. And they're afraid of doing more and having to be responsible and to have to sell themselves lest they be exposed as something other than what they are. Because they do it to other people. So they assume others would do it to them. They don't want to ask others for money for anything. Even when there's a lot to benefit from it. So I've been reading this book called The Practice by Seth Godin. Here it is. Tremendously good book. And here's something he said on page 108. Too often, the market pushes creators to give away their work, and too often, we come to believe that giving it away, removing money from the interaction, is the most generous thing we can do. But that's not the case. He goes on to say further on down the page, money is how our society signifies enrollment. Generous doesn't require us to reduce friction by making things free. It requires us to bring bravery and passion and empathy to the people we seek to serve. And that often requires tension on the part of the audience. People don't want tension. People that are doing this, they don't want any kind of friction whatsoever. And you know why? They want to make everybody happy. But you can't please the masses unless you want to appear as though you're offering nothing of any value. That's true. He goes on to say further, a couple pages over on page 111, he says, to please the masses, you must pander to average, because mass means average. He says, on average, every population is dull. The slide toward average sands off all the interesting edges, destroying energy, interest, and possibility. If you don't want to be average, and if you really believe in what you're doing, and you think that people could be profited by it, you're going to have to put yourself out there and be brave enough to say, listen, could you invest in this? Do you trust me enough to become a part of this? And whether you like it or not, money is currency, just as other things are. There's a lot of things that are currency, but nothing speaks more powerfully than money. And sometimes it helps to get people to sidle up with you, to come onto your side and ask people to do something that would even benefit you. See, there's a lot of people, I know, I hear this all the time. There's a lot of people that badmouth other content creators because there's some way that they could be benefited from whatever they're trying to sell you on, as though their motives could not be pure if there's any way they could be benefited at all. Why can't there be some kind of mutual benefit? The people who believe there can't be are terrible business people. And they're not people that you should be following. If you're following people like that, you're following the wrong people. You're following people who don't really believe in what they're doing. They don't believe in their own energy output. They probably have different motives that they're not even willing to reveal. It's something else. You may not be able to put your finger on it. It could be different for everybody, but they're not people that I personally could believe in. The people that I believe in are the people who say, listen, there's this thing. I benefited from it. You could too. And you say, well, how do I know I can trust them? What if I get this thing? What if I become a part of whatever they're doing? What if it's false? You should be able to figure it out pretty quick. You know, if you're not someone who's so paranoid, you'll be able to suss things out quite well after a while. Give that some thought. Here's another thing he said here. He said, no property is more private than your voice. Your dreams and fears and contributions are yours, peculiar to you, idiosyncratic. Do you realize, like what he said here is so mind-boggling to me. Like, so I've never thought about this way, but your own voice is your private property. He said, no property is more private than your voice. I've never thought about my voice being my private property. Listen, when you become someone who's willing to do this right here, vis-a-vis, face-to-face with others, you stand the chance of rejection. You stand the chance of people accusing you of something that is not right. They question your motives. They question your morals. They question your integrity. A lot of these people are wrong. In some cases, they might be right. And in some cases, there are some charlatans and some grifters out there. There's a lot of good-willed people out there. And you need to give them a break if you're someone who likes to point the finger and say horrible things. Don't be afraid to ask people to come alongside you. Place value on your own private property. You know, when you have private property of any other ilk, you never question if there's any value to it or not. In fact, you have any other said private property for the purpose of profiting from it, right? Stop questioning it. Start using it, and don't be afraid to ask people to come up alongside you. How many do you need? According to Seth Godin, you need about 10 people in your life. 10 people in your life who believe in you, who follow you,
And those 10 people will tell others, and so on and so forth. Even Jesus had 12 disciples. I'm not saying Jesus used a marketing ploy, but he understood all this. One betrayed him, and then it was replaced. But, those 12 took the gospel to the world. They asked people to believe in this one thing that they saw, that they invested in. And I'm not saying there's any money involved. That's not what that's about. This is a topic that could apply to things on a very wide basis. But you understand, according to Seth Godin, he said you have to have about 10 people. You don't have to worry about the masses. Don't worry about the people who are going to poo-poo you. Do something you believe in. Invest your own private property and get people to sidle up with you on the things that you care about. The things that would serve them, because that's why you do what you do. You do what you do so that you can share what you have with others and they may benefit from it. Whether it's your art, your craft, your product. Don't be afraid to ask people to invest. And you might be saying right now to yourself, Greg, I have a feeling you're about to ask people to support you. Well, I don't do it that often. I really don't. Because I've thought the same way. I don't want to offend people. I don't want people to think I'm greedy, that I'm a charlatan, that I'm a grifter. So I very rarely ask people to support this channel. But I realize now I've been thinking about it the wrong way. If I believe in what I'm doing, if I think that what I have to offer is mutually beneficial, why shouldn't I? My answer would have been, well, maybe people can't afford it. Maybe people don't have anything to give. My mistake is in thinking that other people are just like me. There are lots of people out there who really want to help, who want to show their appreciation in a material way. And I'm not giving them that chance. And perhaps you aren't either, and you need to start doing that. Consider that. Stop being afraid to ask for support. With that being said, if you do want to support this channel, I have a link down below. I'll make it the very first thing on my description, underneath the description of the topic of this video. But it'll be there. And if you want to show your appreciation, I'll be ever so grateful. And I think I'll probably start offering that a little more unashamedly. And it's about time I stopped being afraid, and maybe you should too. So if that's helped you, please like this video, share it with others, and join me on the next one, would you please? All right. I appreciate it, guys. I'll see you next time. I ask one thing besides what I've already mentioned, and that is, be wise.